This is my first YouTube video, and as you can see, I am in a playhouse. I'm in a family of 6, and there's not a lot of privacy or silence in the house. I decided to start a YouTube channel for 3 reasons. 1,
to understand.
2, to give a different opinion, and 3, because I talk all the time, and as big as my family is, they have already gotten sick of me
multiple times for rambling.
And I know that I'm not the only one who obsesses over things, so I hope that this channel would allow me to find some may actually enjoy my content. So the purpose of this video is to validate a source I'm going to be using continually in many of my succeeding videos. So I am a Christian. My source of morality, logic, and thinking is in the Bible. And recently I saw this video from a YouTuber I respect very much who said this. Okay, so I could not find this video because it must have been deleted or something, but it was basically a video by Hunter Avalon complaining about a group of Christians tried to refute abortion by saying that the Bible said it was wrong, and then he said something like,
Well, that's the worst argument I've ever heard, because all I have to say is I don't believe the Bible, and suddenly your argument is refuted.
as a Christian, my source, my evidence is found in the Bible. That is my weapon. That is my armor. To have somebody say that's not a valid argument is upsetting. At the same time, I get it. Somebody who isn't a Christian and who may not be very familiar with Christianity may see the argument as weak. But let me ask you this. If you don't believe the Bible, what do you believe? What is your source? Is it logic? If it is logic, where do you get your logic? Let's say you're an atheist. If you're an atheist, very likely you believe in evolution or naturalism at the very least. I mean, if you're an atheist, there's no God, there's no higher being who created the earth. You can always believe in space aliens, but how does logic fit into it? Logic and accidents are mutually exclusive. If you are an atheist, why would you argue for logic or morality, since everything is an accident and everything is chance? And there shouldn't be logic because there is no purpose and your mind is just an accident, so your mind shouldn't be able to comprehend logic. The argument just sort of tears itself apart. So this law that things wear down and break apart over time is the exact opposite of evolution, where organisms evolve into more intelligent, complex forms. The argument just sort of tears itself apart. Is your argument based on morality? If you are an atheist, what is your standard of morality? Is it consensus of the tribe, or is it your own opinion? Because if it is consensus of the tribe, the standard of morality is constantly changing. Less than 100 years ago, it was immoral for girls to wear pants. Less than 200 years ago, it was perfectly appropriate for people to own slaves. Why would you trust morality if it's constantly changing? So if your basis of morality is on the consensus of the tribe, and you're here arguing that pedophilia is wrong, or zoophilia is wrong, just wait maybe 10, 20 years, it'll be completely alright. Maybe your source of morality is your own opinion. I've heard some YouTubers say they didn't like things because that's weird. That is not a very strong argument either, because it's easily refutable.
Well, I don't think it's weird. I think it's okay.
It works for me.
Oh, let's say you aren't a Christian, but you are a theist. You believe there is a God, but you believe the Bible is something that some people just wrote to feel closer to God. If your God is not the God of the Bible, then how does he give you your morality? How do you know he gave you logic? If your argument is logic, the laws of logic and the laws of nature don't change. But how do you know that? Unless your faith is based in an unchanging designer. My God is the author of those laws because he says specifically in his word, while the earth remains, seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. In Genesis 8:22. And in Isaiah 48, He says, the grass withers,
The flower fades.
but the word of our God will stand forever. He has said he is the designer of the laws of nature and the cycles of nature and the reason things grow and the water falls. If I'm going to use the Bible as my logic, can people refute the argument by saying, oh, I don't believe the Bible, so I can't take what you're saying seriously? Well, yes, they can. But you have to remember, it's no different and probably more reliable than somebody else saying,
This is wrong,
Because this is my opinion.
or because it's logical.
because they don't have a basis or an author for their logic, and their own opinion is unreliable because as a human being, they are inconsistent. Another argument people have against the Bible is that it's full of
Inconsistencies.
So to try to help you see that the Bible is the least inconsistent
Source of material.
in the entire universe, I gave some examples of what people commonly use as inconsistencies. Proverbs 26:4, answer not a fool according to his folly. And then in Proverbs 26:5, he says, answer a fool according to his folly. So the two things are polar opposites, so right there, the Bible is inconsistent. Well, no, you have to read the context. The full verse of Proverbs 26:4 is, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. So, if somebody says to you,
You're stupid.
and you respond,
You're even stupider.
that's answering a fool according to his folly, and it doesn't help the situation. Now, if someone says to you,
I'm going to try a cigarette.
if you tell them, no, you shouldn't do that because it's bad for your lungs, that's answering a fool, again, according to his folly,
so that he doesn't do something that will hurt him.
Another verse that I found on an atheist website is, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, in Exodus 28. But then in Romans 14:5, it says, one man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. So, again, they sound like polar opposites. One says you have to keep the Sabbath holy, and the other says, oh, let everybody do whatever they want.
Have to look at the context.
In Exodus 28, God is outlining strict laws for the nation of Israel. This is a complex subject where in the Old Testament, God seems to be a lot stricter than he is in the New Testament. But this is a whole different situation where he's addressing the world in the New Testament and the Jews in the Old Testament. And he had
Several hundred laws given to the Jews.
Now, the purpose of these laws was actually to prove that the Jews could not keep it and that they were imperfect and that they were not like God.
This is voiceover girl helping out that struggling thing on screen. A lot of the laws for the Jews were moral, and a lot of the laws for the Jews were symbolic. The Sabbath was one of those symbolic laws that no longer applies after Jesus Christ came to earth and fulfilled the law. But a lot of these laws are no longer applicable today because Jesus already fulfilled them.
So then when we get to Romans 14:5, this is Paul, who is speaking from inspiration from God, addressing the Romans. They were a group of Gentiles in a similar area shortly after Christ ascended into heaven. In the Roman church, a lot of people were confused about how to live their lives as Christians. People have different convictions because people are different, and God has different plans for people. God is the same God, but other people may interpret the Bible differently, and that's not always a wrong thing. Ecclesiastes 1:4, but the earth remains forever. In 1 Peter 3:10, Peter says, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare.
Please, context.
The full Ecclesiastes 1:4-7 says, generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets, and hurries back to where it rises. Ecclesiastes is a book that King Solomon wrote during sort of an existential crisis in his later years. He wanted to see what it would be like to live as a naturalistic human being whose purpose in life was to be successful in the world's eyes, to get a good job, to gain a lot of knowledge, and
He found that everything amounted to nothing. I don't like what I say here.
so saying, but the earth remains forever, he's mainly talking about how the processes of the earth continue to go on. He's not really talking about it in the grand scheme of eternity. He's talking about the timeline of the earth and how small human life is in comparison with the earth's timeline. And then
2 Peter 3:10.
the full verse is, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare." This is talking about after the timeline of the earth, when Jesus destroys it, because humans have wrecked it with sin, in order to establish a new earth and a new heaven that will not pass away, that will go on for all eternity. There are a lot more inconsistencies that people have pointed out in the Bible. If you want to drop some inconsistencies you found in the comments, I will do my best to try to answer them. I probably won't be able to go through all of them, but hopefully if I'm able to bring clarity to a good portion of them, you will understand that these inconsistencies are not really inconsistent. It all depends on
the context.